Another question. Logan Paul at the convention. Heard a lot of rumors of that you were not happy with his presence there and left because of it.
First off, Logan Paul, and I said this in the book. In fact, I dedicate. He's part of Enemies of the State, and I only knew about that Logan Paul's existence through his brother Jake, because I do a lot of internet research, and I've gone through so many things. I accidentally ran into Jake. It's like, okay, who's this idiot? Didn't know that he had an older brother. Then I ran into his older brother, and then I happened to stumble across the Japanese suicide video thing where
Mm-hmm.
he when he went out there. And then I had to go back into his history, and what happened was I've lost friends to that years and years ago, and so I have a strong opinion on it. And so it was like the perfect storm of bad things that happened here. Meaning he he decided to come to the conference, but he didn't tell the promoter. He didn't tell Robbie, and so he just bought tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie saw him on the list and recognized him, and Logan convinced him to keep it a secret. That's where things went wrong. Keep it a secret from everybody, including me, including the speakers. And Robbie didn't even announce it to us until 12 hours before this thing was going live. Well, I'd already been to the freaking, I was already in Denver for 2 days at that point. And we were at the cocktail hour, and whoever it was who was flying in decided they weren't going to show up at the dinner, and then they weren't going to show up to the cocktail, the VIP cocktail thing. And then, so Robbie just says before we're all going to bed, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's Logan Paul." And he told David Weiss, and David Weiss told me. And David's looking at me because we had been speculating for so long on who it was. And Robbie just let us run with the hype. We were taking guesses like way out there, like Will Smith and guys that were just way above that would have been there. And the next thing you know, and I was in complete denial. I was like, no, it can't be Logan Paul. It cannot be Logan Paul. Because no one would make that sort of choice. Logan Paul can't be here. He's a professional troll. Literally, that's all he does. He's made hundreds of troll videos. In fact, he trolled everybody in the United States to where he was going to other countries and trolling them. He'd already done Europe. That's why he was over in Japan. He was running out of people to troll. And I was trying to I was sitting down at the dinner table that night with I think half the speakers. And I'm trying to tell him, I'm going off on a rant for an hour, just going, look, this guy cannot be here. He is going to freaking burn us. He's a pariah on the internet. Seriously, I don't believe in infanticide, but if I had to go back in time, I'd smother him with a pillowcase. Getting worked up. So no one would listen to me because they just didn't know who he was. So what was I supposed to do? But I didn't know for sure. I was still in denial. It's like, well, it
Mm-hmm.
can't be him. Even that point, I was going, it cannot be him. So I said, if I come in tomorrow morning and I go to the registration thing and somebody tells me that, oh yeah, Logan Paul and his team of boy band rejects are there, that I'm going to walk. I'm just going to go to the airport. And that's exactly what happened. And it was my protest to everybody. It's like, but it was more insurance on top of that, which was he can't be allowed to punk the entire conference. Now, what I didn't know was until he released that in his behind the scenes documentary, and
Mm-hmm.
it was tickled me when he mentioned that, was that I went home. I mean, I literally got on a plane. I was on a plane in 2 hours later, and I was back in Seattle, and I did a podcast with somebody that night, and I was telling them. In fact, it was Zulu and some of the other guys. I was saying I was going over all this, and Logan was listening. That I didn't know. He had listened to the podcast because it was on there, and he had heard the rumor that I had left, and maybe Robbie told him. And at that point, he thought there may be enough dissension that he may not uh, be, that people may be kind of targeting him in at the hotel. So that's when he changed hotels. Well, again, flattering. Nobody would have probably done anything, although you never know. But yeah, but the bad part for me was I had to catch flack for 3 months until he finally released his piece. And it was it wasn't just vindication. In fact, I didn't even have to do I told you so dance or anything like that. It was horrible. It was the way he gave it away in the first 7 minutes, where his friend
Mm-hmm.
said that he had lost somebody off the edge of the earth. Yeah, it was
Uh,
horrible. But it really hurt. It hurt everybody's feelings when he got to the end and when they were saying, you know, oh no, I don't believe in flat Earth. It's the stupidest, you know, expletive thing I've ever heard. And then it made it even worse. He doubled down and did the behind the scenes thing, and that was horrible. That was even worse because he was calling out Robbie, and it's like he wasted a great opportunity. He could have done something relatively tasteful or something better production. And remember, he didn't even do the final edit on that piece. He outsourced the editing because uh, I think he didn't even know how to edit it himself because the topic was so far above his head, and he was anyway. So that was basically it. And so yeah, for 3 months I caught hell, and then afterwards I was redeemed. It was like, oh yeah, Mark called it. Then I which is fine, but I try to tell people. Let me end on this, which is if there was ever a better example of the frog and the scorpion story, this is it right here, which is like,
Yeah.
it's like, look, he's done nothing but troll videos, and you think he's going to do a serious piece. You think he's going to do like, you know, and he's not. He's absolutely conning you. So, but a lot of people, the reason why they bought it, well, there was two parts. One was he had at the time, what, 6 million, 8 million subs, something like that. That goes a long way in terms of, I guess, credibility, even though you can buy subs. But the other thing is that everybody on his team that he brought was in on it. Meaning, not only does his friend Mike, I think it's Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
Even though his friend Mike said he was already into it, and then even the assistant, that's the part where you're playing dirty. The assistant who's setting up all the travel stuff and saying the hotel, she's totally playing it too. She's saying, "Oh yeah, Mike's totally into it, and Logan, he's curious and all this." And at that point, why wouldn't you believe? You know, there was no tongue in cheek. They were all super nervous, like, "Oh, we're gonna punk him." So anyway, there you go.
Yeah, honestly, all it would have taken was about 20 minutes of going through Logan Paul's back history of videos.
Yeah.
You would have had your answer.
But if you want silver lining on this, one, he generated a huge amount of metrics because
He did.
A massive amount, and it was kind of flattering in a way.